you doing? My name's George, and you're watching the Northeast RC Racer podcast. I am here with my counterparts, Toby Hampson from 46 RC Media.
Hello there.
Vin Manchenda, Team Associated Manager, and many other accomplishments.
What's up, everyone?
We are in episode number 22, and as I always say, I can't believe it. We're heading towards 24, which means, we've got a few episodes booked. Some episodes I'm a little bit more relaxed. Sometimes I'm more nervous, but tonight I'm feeling pretty good. Had about 8-hour car ride from West Virginia, so I think taking out all my frustration on the road, and it's going to be a pretty smooth podcast.
Sometimes, the least prepared you are, the more free it flows. You know what I mean?
True.
Kind of like
less
that.
Anxiety and preparation, I think.
Yeah, the fly by the seat of your pants thing. Sometimes I go into a meeting at work with like no preparation and then just spiel it out, and it actually sometimes works out better. There's less kind of pent up frustration and worry. It's just like, oh shit. So
here it is, organic.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna roll with it and see how that works. Speaking of that and rolling, we want to say thank you very much to Jason Rona from J Concepts Tires. He was here on episode number 21, depending which way the camera's rolling. And what a titan from the RC industry. It was pretty amazing that he could make time to come on our show. Vin had reached out to him. That's kind of how we got him on the show. So thanks again to Vin, and super thanks to Jason. He gave us a huge insight on RC car tires, what tires to use, what kind of compounds, how we came to the genesis of J Concepts from being a racer, then developing a company and its products. So thank you very much to Jason. We definitely have a little jewel in our cap now from you and a few other guys that have been on the show. So thanks so much. There's been some activity recently. I think Toby's going to cover that in a few minutes, but there's been a couple of races. The season is heading towards, the end. It's October. We're going into November almost, Halloween time, and then right around the corner. And typically the racing season ends at that point, but we've been lucky enough with such fantastic weather over the last 8 weeks, almost like California weather, that all the tracks have been getting in their events. So, Toby, are you familiar? Any action happening recently?
So there's not been a ton going on since the last time we recorded. I think it was the 24th of September since we met with Rona. So that's only, for us, that's a pretty short amount of time between podcasts. So
through that,
there hasn't been a ton going on in the region, at least with regards to 8 scale, which is primarily where we're focused. So Trains and Lanes and the Barn have had a series going, which I believe concluded just this past week or so, was it? Let me see. We're trying to put up the results here in a haphazard kind of way. It looks like it was October 6th, which was where are we now? Week previous.
Yep.
So we can touch upon the results. A 2-race series. So I'm trying to look at these results here, kind of whack. I'm assuming it's over. No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 2-race series. Brian Bush, 40 plus e-buggy. Steve Flynn, Adam Gregory. That's your top 3. And moving on to 40 plus nitro buggy. It's Bardo. Bardo did really well actually at the Barn at LCRC for the cancer race. Taking the win. What's that guy's name? Guy was TQ. Look at his name, and he flamed out on like the last lap, and Bardo took the win. Needless to say, he was the guy who was TQ was missing from the podium. Carlos Cruz.
That's huge, though, man. I just want to say really quick, Bardo has definitely stepped up his game. So, Anthony, if you're watching this, awesome, bro. I'm super proud of you because we've been racing for years, and it's so good to see your name at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been killing it out there. Yeah, real good. Eat Buggy, Chase Gabney, Brian Bush, Zach Crap, Crap. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Eat Buggy, Eat Truggy, Brian Bush. Somebody goes by the name of Zero, Tim Powers. Let's see, Truggy, Nitro Buggy, Schreffler, Grayek, John Burwa. His writing's really small. Nitro Truggy, Brian Cruz, Paul Rutledge, Nick Camasco. And look at some novice drivers, which is good. It's good to see 10 novice drivers coming out. Tony Mosa, Kevin Dubar, Mike Lamphere. Anyway, that's the Mako series. Various different mispronunciations from the paperwork here. Anyway, so Trains and Lanes, that's the only race they've had in a while. And Rohan had the 4th race of the Nest series right on top of when LCRC had their race, which was a banging idea. So really nobody was there. There are 50 entries. E-Buggy, Benny Camerian, Ophir, Mike Malone. I don't have the final totals actually, which would be more interesting to talk about. See if I can bring them up real quick here. I cannot because nobody ever posts them. E-Buggy, Brian Carter. It's good to see Brian out racing. Haven't seen him out since he was out for Muka Challenge. Nitro Buggy, Schreffler, Blackus, Colton. Some of the usual suspects out there: Carter, Fear, Tim Powers, E-Truggy. Powers obviously started running E-Truggy. 40 plus Nitro Buggy, Grayek, Blackus, and Fear. It's good to see Grayek. Grayek's, I think he was the first guy we had on that podcast, right? Way back when, 2020.
No, actually, Brian Cotter was the first, but
Yeah.
Jamie was definitely in top 10.
Yeah, so it's good to see him still out there racing. He is not a fan of these long weekend races, so he was down at Tom's track, and he just prefers the one-day thing. Gives him more time to, get on with his life, I guess, short of spending 4 days at the track. So that's what's going on, or has been going on. This coming weekend is the last race of the season, LCRC, which is a real pisser, but that's the way it goes. It's been a great year, and it's a 4-day race. Halloween race actually used to be a 1-day race when I first started going. I think 2016, 17, and that's the only time that I actually ever was TQ with 40 plus Nitro Buggy, and I have to give myself, some props because I had a race for the lead with McGuigan, techno guy. I forget his last name. We had a great battle. It's actually on YouTube, I think, but it was like a last turn thing, and we both went up a jump together and hit tires. My car went one way and his car went the other. My car didn't go where it was supposed to go. His did. So he took the win, and I was pretty butthurt about it. So I got second. But the worst kicker is there was no trophies. So I was like, son of a bitch. And then after that, they made it the 4-day race with trophies. So I'm like, oh, well, whatever. But
Not even a fucking Wonka bar.
No, nothing. I got nothing. It's just a big hole in the wall where the trophy could have been. Anyway, so that's Halloween race. Should be good. The LCRC this year have had a point series, which is exciting. I've been prodding Kevin in the ribs for a while now to do something like that. So I don't want to take all the credit, but it's mostly my idea. So I think I admit I haven't listened to their Wednesday night hump day happy hour thing that they do. I just, after 8 p.m. I'm usually asleep on the couch. So they start at 8 and I'm normally asleep. Or we record Tuesdays, Thursdays. Either way. So apparently it was the first 6 races. So I amazingly and in top 5 in 40 plus. So I'm actually
Nice.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna I get to be on the podium, I guess. So what they're doing is after we would finish racing on Sunday, they're going to have a banquet over at the golf club. So and they're going to do like a whole presentation, or we'll be streaming it live. So that'll be kind of cool. So something to look out for. People who are who are going to be winning, or they want to watch their friends, or they want to see the whole thing, or they want to watch drunk people, then tune in after the racing. It won't be me drunk because I got to drive home, but I'll be live streaming the thing. So should be fun.
That's
Anyway.
cool. It's nice that they're going to do something like that.
Yeah, they always go to town and do something the way it should be done. So
yeah, it'd be nice if we had like a regional dinner for like all the guys or something like that at the end.
Yeah,
of the
right.
season.
Imagine.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
yeah. Imagine something like serious. But last but not least, there was a race over at Rhythm. Tom had a race, right? And I think he had some good turnout this weekend. I don't know the stats, but next time Tom's on, he can give us the 411. But I believe that was his racer appreciation race. So thanks, Tom, so much for having a race out there and supporting all the guys that come out to your track. So
yeah, I think it's a good season for him. His first season at the outdoor track, and I think he had pretty positive attendance for for just regular club racing, which is amazing to see.
Most definitely.
And I think he's pretty happy with what they've achieved, and now they've gone into indoor racing. But I want to have a bit more of a rant later about club racing.
Cool. All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to be a little quick and bring in our featured guest for this evening. We're excited to have Kurt Wenger from Team Associated and Shell Racing Products join the podcast tonight. How you doing, Kurt?
He's muted.
I think your mic's muted.
Yeah, his mic is muted.
Now we're on. Hey, everybody, glad to be here. I was trying to be extra courteous while you guys were doing the intro, but I don't think you could hear me anyways.
Yeah, I think if you're not in the studio, I think you're sort of implicitly muted anyway.
You can pretty much do whatever you want in backstage. It's kind of like our green room. You can get crazy.
Yeah, we're live from Texas, so we're ready to rip here and talk about RC cars.
Oh, that's sweet, man. I didn't realize you were out in Texas, so that's great. Anywhere near Austin?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
I do club racing at Thornhill Racing Circuit. There's another really cool outdoor track that I don't get to go to, but a few times a year outside of San Antonio called Oatsified RC Raceway. And Jason Oates built it out on his property. They have a really cool scene out there, so we can do some real legit outdoor racing. But I drive to Austin most often and go race under the cover, especially this summer. It's been hot. It felt like summer last weekend. We had our Thornhill Masters race, and it was 90 plus degrees outside. It was killer.
Oh,
wow.
Humidity or no humidity?
It was actually, humidity wasn't too bad. It was just roasty toasty. I only had a thin coat of sweaty dust on my legs, unlike the usual thick coat.
Wow.
There's always a silver lining in RC racing, that's for sure. It's getting hit as you're marshaling, right? And it's like just getting bruised versus having your arm broken. Alan.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Well, I can't tell you how happy we were to have you on the podcast. And, we've gotten some really great leads this past season from Vin, and you're one of his, contacts in the industry, so to speak. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Kurt's background, I got to go in here with my glasses. We're going to get to why they call you Coach in a little while. But aside from that, Kurt has had an extensive career in RC. I think dating all the way back, maybe even prior to 202, but from some of the stuff that I did some research on, basically around the 2000s area, all the way up until today. He's been involved with Team Associated. He's been involved in Avid Racing Products. He started a recent new business that we'll get into in a few minutes called Shell Racing, which I believe started its beginning in 2014. And last but not least, and no least important, especially because the guy in the bottom cube over to the other side. No, I got to point that way. Right? No, there it is.
Oh my gosh, point that way.
Yeah, better for you to do it. Team Associated. So Kurt's involved with design and development, I believe, for all the off-road products, whether it be 10 scale or 1A scale, which is kind of what we love around here. So Kurt's going to tell us a little bit about how he started in the business, where he's at today. And then I know Toby and Vin have some additional questions. So Kurt, why don't you take it away? Because I know we have
Sure.
limited time with you this evening. So we might as well just hear you start going.
Yeah, I might just go running on and on, but yeah, we'll try to keep it under control. But yeah, the most recent cool thing I got to work on was the 8 scale program, the RC8B 4.1 and RC8B 4.1 E kits. Those released at the beginning of 2024. And just to give people kind of an idea, we started talking about concepts for that in the spring last year. We did some pre-production testing. For example, we made some new length shock bodies. We made the new shock towers. That was one of the first things we tested on that project. We also had the pipeline in development, the prototype for the e-buggy chassis with the variable plate to be able to move the motor and run the 2 different weight bias on it. So that kind of stuff was kind of in the concept phase and testing last year. And then another cool part I dug up on my desk is like the production arms. We had been modifying the existing arms, but we decided to make a new mold. So one of the cool things that Team Associated has is we have an in-house 3D printer that uses like laser sintering. It's called a SLS process. So after we do the prototyping stuff, we go in and design the plastic parts. So this is the new rear arm, and we'll usually do some design iterations and change a few features after we get to see it. But this is one of them. This is kind of what it looks like out of the machine. Of course, they take a lot of cleanup because it's covered with powder when it comes out of the laser printer. But this is a cool thing that we have. So I get to deal with that. The guys at the office print stuff and then send it out to me in Texas. So that was what we worked on last year. And then we went through and, get all the molds made and mold modifications and get all the new parts made and then put together the manual and the bag list and stuff. So, whenever you see an RC kit, it's probably been worked on for 9 months to a year in advance. So that'll give you an idea. But a lot of people don't realize there's just a lot of work that goes into it. And we always kind of have some different irons in the fire for development and things we want to change. So, yeah, we got new stuff now that'll be out next year that we've been working on, and on and on it goes. So, yeah, this year was a lot of 8 scale, and I've worked on all the projects, but I was the lead on the 8 scale buggy stuff for this time around. The original RC8B4 launch, I worked with TJ. He was the lead designer, TJ Eller, who moved on to a different, like an aerospace or defense industry company last year. So that's changed. And then I work on the development and the other guys on the team. I don't know if you guys know, we got 2 other Rockstar guys back at the office, Billy Hayden and Kyle Klingforth, and they do product design also. And those guys were working on the big 2-wheel drive B7 launch last year while I was working on 8 scale stuff. So yeah, we got 3 people on the off-road team, and we kind of bounce around and work on different stuff, but I've primarily been working on 8 scale. But when I started Associated in 2002, like we worked on the RC10 B4, and we only had 10th scale products. We had the only gas car we made was the RC10 GT, the original truck. And I did the B4, the T4, and then we worked with Jason Rona and J Concepts on the B44 transition, which was based on the J Concepts famous BJ4 4-wheel drive that he made for the 03 Worlds, and he almost made it into the A main. He was 11th, I think. So yeah, I've been doing it ever since then. Started out with the little cars, got into the gas truck, and then I did a little bit of 8-scale buggy. I mean, even at the time, we were one of the people to go test out the very first e-buggy when e-buggy wasn't even really a thing, and we got to go drive the new Novak censored system
Nice.
out at Thunder Alley, long time ago. And so I liked e-buggy a lot back then, and I probably do a little better in electric class than nitro, but I put on my big boy pants and practiced some nitro this summer, and got it going pretty good. So it's fun. We had the Nitro Worlds and everything, getting ready for that. So yeah, I worked at Team Associate from 02 to 2011. So kind of got my feet wet in 8-scale. I was pretty new at it. And the cars back then were a lot more crude. And we've kind of learned a lot with car development since then and the features we built in and stuff. So it was cool to come back and get into it. I had a RC8B 3.1 nitro and electric. I raced the Nationals in 2019 and raced some races at Thornhill. And it was pretty cool to reconnect with Spencer, and we ended up winning the Nationals that summer in 2019. Slowly improved the car over the weekend and got in there and had it working good at the right time. And so we won that race, and kind of been going back and forth with Spencer ever since. So yeah, I kind of had my hand in everything. Originally a 10-scale guy, but I probably do a lot more 8-scale now. The one class I don't race a lot is carpet off-road, but I still like it. I just don't have access to it and haven't done it that much. Any other questions?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
That's awesome.
Plenty. Go ahead, Vin.
Hopefully I covered all the background.
Yeah. How did you now you own Shell Racing? How did you get that started in 2014?
Yeah, I'd left Associated and kind of wanted to just have a little more freedom, and so I started collaborating with the Avid Racing, and we launched the Avid Racing product line, which was mainly 10-scale electric, and we offered a few 8-scale products. So we got that off the ground, and we ended up kind of parting ways, and I decided to start my own brand so we could have kind of more control over everything, and we didn't have to worry about who owned what and stuff like that. So we kind of decided to split up, and I started my own brand, and mainly, like back then, the hot thing was the B5 series, and the B5M had come out. So I was racing a lot of 10 scale, and we ran, we did a lot of upgrades for that car and the Shell Racing brand. So I did that, and I started it kind of out of my garage, home-based business, and I ended up having my ex's brother worked for me. So we had two of us in the garage, packaging, filling orders, and selling B5 suspension mounts and shock towers and shock pistons. And we made one of the other kind of fun things is like the way all the hubs are on the 10 scale cars now with the two-piece design, the electric, like this one with the two-piece cap, and the horizontal screws. Like if you go back, the Shell Racing aluminum option hubs for the B5M were the first products to have that design, and now it's pretty much on everybody's car.
I had some of those.
Yeah, those were really cool. I still have my original like race cars from back then saved. I kind of have a pretty good collection of everything I've worked on. So yeah, we started the Shell line back then. I've kind of always run Associated cars, and so a lot of the accessories we did were complementary to Associated. And then I got a low C car back then and did a few low C products, and they did all right. And then the other cool thing we did was the slipper clutch project that we started developing at Avid. So it's sold under the Avid Triad brand, and then that's kind of my intellectual property, but we sell it under the Avid brand, and then we sell it. The newest version is the Nova slipper clutch. So we have the spur gear mold for that, and we kind of done some onward development for that, and it's had a life of over 10 years now. It's been out on the market, so that ended up being pretty cool. We still use it today, and there's a new B7 version that I launched this year that has all the new pad materials and a new carbon pad material, and still our same classic spur gears. So yeah, you guys have seen it. It looks like this, but it's kind of the first. It's a 3-plate, low polar moment, lightweight slipper clutch. It works for stock and modified, but I could kind of see the future of spec racing even back then, that it was really important to have a lightweight and compact clutch, so you could still have traction. So it's really good for spec racing, but I also like it in modified, so I run it on all my cars. So yeah, that's one of the products. And then we've kind of moved in, and I have a lot more 8-scale stuff now. As I race it more, I get more into it and having products like that. But yeah, we have a bunch of B7 stuff that's out this summer that you can get. That's all on my car here. So did cool. I can't even remember. I'm just filling the space, guys.
No, good.
You have bearing kits and screw kits as well, right? For the
B7. Yeah. That's a cool thing to bring to market. It's kind of tedious to do, but the titanium screw sets, they're pretty expensive, and so to have a good price to end customer, that's not something that Team Associated and the other companies can sell, because the price is so high and so many people have to touch it to get it through the product train. It's not really, if a Team Associate had a titanium screw set, they'd have to charge $190 for it, where it's I charge $85. So yeah, all those screws, I have all my screw bins all laid out, and I package all the sets by hand as people order them. But those have been really good. So yeah, this car has the titanium screws, which are, it's not only lightweight, but you don't have to deal with rust and corrosion. And then they have machine threads, so the threads are really sharp and they bite into the plastic really well. It really makes a difference on the 8-scale car, where you have those big 4mm screws, and you're kind of cleaning the car a lot more. And I know my buddies in Houston all want to buy the titanium screws because the steel screws all rust from the humidity down there. So yeah, that's one of the other big product lines. We also have a ball bearing product line, aluminum option parts, and then really done pretty well with the shock tuning product lines and the shock pistons and stuff. So we just launched some new products for that, for the 13mm, the B7 shocks. We just launched the Fat Boy 2.7 pistons, which you can buy in all the 2-hole options and 3-hole options. And then last summer we launched
just lost power.
Last summer we launched the new Fat Boys 16mm pistons, which I sell in 2 different thicknesses, which are kind of tunable depending on whether you're racing winter or summer, what the temperature is, and what the grip level is. So
cool.
It's a lot of products, to say the least.
Yeah, that's the main stuff that's come out. And we're making cars too. So our Team Associated cars. So I do that part-time, and then do my own products out of the home office. So we're staying busy doing RC cars every day here.
Very cool. Very cool.
We had somebody else on a few episodes ago. Actually, it was Thomas Kaufman. He was doing some titanium screws, not in the same capacity that you are, or maybe so, maybe not. I have no idea in terms of the volume, but he was explaining that process. It's quite unique, and lots of different colors. How many different color options do you offer?
I don't offer anything but the raw natural one. Yeah,
Okay.
I know all about the process. Like one of the cool things about Brian Kinwald was he was one of the guys to figure out how to hook a power supply, a variable voltage power supply up, and they would use I can't remember what kind of, it was some kind of a cleaner solution that you could put voltage through and dip the screws and clip an alligator clip onto the screws, and different voltages gave you different colors. So I think the 1UP brand offers colored screws. I think they do that in-house. I know the other brand, Clinic, does colored screws in-house. But that's not my forte, so I don't do colors. You just get shiny titanium, and that's it.
It works.
It gets
Vin,
the job done.
What were you saying before, Vin, about you had mentioned to me earlier in the podcast about some question that you had regarding the shock packages? Or are you going to get into that a little bit later?
Oh yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit.
All right.
We'll do those.
Toby, cool, man.
Sorry.
Toby, you have any? Yeah,
I just lost power. My entire house just went black. It was bizarre. Yeah, I have a whole home generator outside. It just kicked in.
There you go. Perfect.
I was just like, please work. And it actually just kicked in. So I don't know what's going on. There's no weather. Just went out. The sirens going off out in the town. So
see, all the thumbs up from NERP allowed Toby to kick it with a generator and keeps the podcast rolling. Perfect. It's perfect.
Crazy. I've not had this happen before, but go figure. So yeah, Kurt, I guess I've been racing since about 2009. So I spent a lot of time doing 10 scale, and your products were very heavily used in the track that I used to race at, which was
Thanks.
Yeah, well, super popular back in, like you were talking about, B5 days and stuff. That's really where I kind of got started. B5 was super popular on the surface that we ran, which was kind of like this weird sort of wet dirt, which still hasn't really changed, but it's it's slicks or whatever. So have you, like, your product range, has it sort of more, do you feel that like 10 scale is sort of tapered off a bit, and 8 scale has become more of a demanding industry for you and your product range?
I mean, for me personally, I don't know how it necessarily correlates. I mean, I still do really well with the 10 scale products. I've noticed in the last few years, just maybe from 10 years ago, the ease of people to get into manufacturing and doing their own product line, whether, a lot of the stuff I do is custom. But eventually there are things like shock shaft pliers and stuff that's like, I don't need a custom designed shock shaft plier. There's factories over there that it's like,
yeah,
there's probably 5 different branded shock shaft pliers that are the exact same thing that have different logos on them and stuff like that. So I try to make something that's a unique function and different. I know like back then with a B5M, the whole car was molded plastic. Everything from the shock standoffs to the suspension mounts to the hubs were all, the car was more inexpensive, but there was a lot more room to upgrade it. And there was probably less people on the market making custom upgrades. So that's changed, that there's like, R1 didn't exist, and they hired one of the old designers from Team Associated, and they have a product line now. And obviously Avid still has their product line. I have mine. J Concepts has added more stuff. And then the fact that the kits now, when you buy a kit, it has an aluminum C&D block,
right,
and it has like a molded hub with an aluminum upper.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff comes with a little bit more of a decked out kit now, and a little less plastic. So
Yeah, so
I'd
you've
say
had
the market's changed a little bit, but the still like, if I was going to say if you had a B7, I did some products for that. And the still a lot of the core things that I do for like my race car is I change all the bearings to the shell bearings, which the ones that I think are the best value is I have what's called the hybrid ceramic kit. So it has the ceramic ball, like high RPM, low drag bearings for the gearbox, and then the hubs and axles are like Pro Series bearing, which isn't ceramic balls, but it's a high performance oiled bearing. Just because they're not doing as high RPM, and when you crash and stuff, you're hitting these bearings. And I just found that the ceramics, they don't like hitting things because it's
Right.
just going to damage the race and the track that the ball runs in more easily. So like my sets is like it's like $60 for the hybrid set, and you can use it for stock or modified racing, and you basically get all the benefit where you need it. So some people still want to go all ceramic, but the bearings I use have really good life, and so I kind of recommend that once you get a little more serious. Like, don't buy more of I don't recommend people that are serious at racing buying more of the kit bearings, just because you want a more premium quality one, which I find they tend to last longer and they're a little more freer out of the package. And then I run, obviously, like I mentioned, the clutch. I run that on all my cars, stock and modified. It even works great on carpet. The power delivery curve, how it breaks away with the 3 pads and the pad material, it makes the throttle really smooth. And the other thing it really helps with is the braking, because the clutch has a little bit of give. So especially on dirt, you'll feel like the car has more traction with this clutch than the kit one. And you can really notice how fast it can spool up because the diameter of the slipper clutch is down. I think this is like 18 millimeters diameter in metric. I think I was using inches at the time, so it's probably close to some round inch number. But that's kind of one of my other go-tos. And then the cool stuff, obviously, I've got the screws on my car. The cool stuff for 10 scale is the aluminum billet caster block mounts. Those came out. I offer them in the 0 and the -2. We waited to do that until we kind of got some more time on the car. And setup wise, I think the front upper link here with the middle setting and the -2, the length of that front upper link is kind of a really good all around. It handles the most like the baseline front upper link on the B6.4 series that everybody kind of always ran as a baseline. So we have these. They're billets, so you don't have to deal with the nut or twisting and breaking them. And we're kind of doing some research about making some other settings, so people can chime in the chat and email me what their other popular one is. But I've had really good luck with this. This is what I ran as my baseline. And then this summer, we also came out with aluminum steering rack. Obviously, we sell graphic chassis protectors, but I have a billet aluminum steering rack that has I have a black and a blue with the silver edging. And I have a aluminum 25-degree kick-up bulkhead. The kits come with the aluminum 0 bulkhead, which is 22.5 kick-up as the baseline. And then the plus 2.5, it adds a little more stability, and when you hit obstacles and landing on the front end. So I kind of run that as a baseline on dirt. And then the shock pistons are super critical, so you can definitely get those. And those are kind of my go-tos. And then we have like a cool cosmetic carbon fiber wing button and a bunch of, you can go crazy with all the stuff. I have aluminum wheel nuts and some other stuff. But that's the basis of everything. and maybe some more to come. But yeah, the new stuff we came out with is the bulkhead, the carbon fiber shims to raise and lower the bulkhead, the steering rack, and the front caster block mounts. So that's the new stuff for the two-wheel drive. Also sell like carbon fiber steering plates, and then the Old Faithful slipper clutch. We have the new B7 version, which you can also, if you had it for the B6.4, you can buy the new B7 series outer plate and reuse all the parts, and you can buy separate pads and spurs and everything else.
Cool.
So
That's cool.
that's kind of the go-to stuff that I have on my two-wheel drive right now. And we're going to kind of wait and see what else moves the needle or is a must-have after we run the car some more. But yeah, I've had a good time. I went out and ran the Desert Classic. I got third at that one in 40 plus, and then the One Up Challenge was a fun one. I raced that. I think I got third again.
So,
Go ahead.
how about this this race that Rifkin just did?
Yeah, that's one of the other things we do is the Worlds are going to be at this cool outdoor track, and Ray Monday races out there. So Spencer got a chance to go race the Australian Nationals, which was going to be at the exact same time of year, and it's going to be like the same temperatures, same facility, and there's going to be a warm-up race in April that we'll go run at, but it was kind of nice to get some advanced data on what it's like there and what to do. So
you could potentially be racing in that mud, right? Which is, I think, is awesome.
yeah, that was I mean, it's a full outdoor facility, so it's usually wet every morning. Spencer said they watered the track at night, but the way you showed up in the morning, it was mainly just from the natural, condensation overnight. And it slowly dries out during the day. So it was good to get a feel for that and know what the track's going to be like, and try to figure out how to tune the car for those conditions. So I was on the horn every day that weekend, going over the video of everything and going back and forth with some ideas and direction to figure out what to do on the B7 and the four-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, obviously you probably can't disclose a lot about necessarily what he had to run, but was there any sort of significant changes he had to make to get like a pretty sort of high traction car to work on in that sort of muddy condition?
I mean, it was interesting. Those guys, we have the short chassis, and those guys have run both of them, and a lot of the Australian racers run the kit length chassis, which you can call the long whatever. They really like that, and there's a few modifications. So if you want to dig in, you can go look at like that. There's a Ask Ray Monday Facebook page, and he posts a lot of the information. So Spencer went there and kind of worked off of that originally as a starting point, and we made a couple changes. And it gave us some ideas because the track's really low traction. It gave us some ideas of, hey, next time when we go back, we might want to make some different parts, whether it be different shock pistons, springs, arms, wheelbase chassis, weight, all that kind of stuff that you might want to tune for those conditions. So he kind of worked with everything that we sell and that we have, and we put together a pretty good package, and we had to kind of tune it as the grip comes. But the cool thing about the B7 is that it's a mid-motor car, but all the weight, because of the design, all the weight is really compact, which is called the polar moment. So when you put the weight all close together, it creates a lot of stability. And then those guys had kind of figured out some other ways to get traction and tune it with the shocks and the shock mounting and the wheelbase and stuff like that. So
cool.
they kind of got it figured out pretty good, and he worked from there. He did say it's the slickest thing ever, and you have to have the car, really balanced. It actually, just like most wet tracks, when it's wet, you feel like you got a lot of traction and the front end grips, and then as it dries out, you feel like you have no front grip, and then as it dries out even more, the car kind of feels balanced. And he's like, well, the track is faster in the afternoon, but he's like, it's not really grooved. It's just, you're kind of just drifting around everywhere. It's not like ripping traction or anything. So you have to really deal with the wheel spin and everything. So it's going to be challenging, and definitely helps to have an extra trip out there, because you can't just run what you run at your local track and throw it out there and do well.
No, not in the US.
That's why Chase Lemieux went out and worked with Ari Bakla's, runs X-Ray. He's one of the importers, and he does really well. He's a really good driver. So they kind of got each other up to speed, and they did really well at that event as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's good to see. I always thought Spencer was more like obviously he won. What did he win? Very early
Slovakia.
on. Yeah. So I always thought he was kind of like a high traction guy, but this proved as he's matured, he's got a little bit more versatile. So it's good to see him do well out there. And like you say, that's good data that he got there for the Worlds.
Yeah.
True.
There's, one of our castmates is not here tonight, Tom Petrella. He wrote us a couple questions. I'm just going to ask you one of them, all right?
Sure,
so, Tom's got a couple questions, but I think this one's probably good here. How do you leverage your team drivers in your car development?
Well, it's really interesting. In the stuff with Team Associated, I mean, the number one, number two guys that we deal with, car development, is we kind of bounce ideas off our pros in the U.S. Our two main guys that race everything are Aiden Horn and Spencer Rivkin. And then Dustin Evans is on the electric side. He doesn't do any of the 8 scale. So he's one of our other super talented pro guys. He does a lot of the Reedy based testing, and like the 610R speed control that came out. He and the stock motors, he runs a lot of that stuff. And then obviously for 8 scale, Spencer races 8 scale, and then Davide Angaro over in Italy. But we did a lot of the 8 scale card development here with the racers here, and we kind of finish everything and then send it to Davide, and it all worked over there. One of the things we learned that with the new car, we still offer both chassis, because we probably sell more nitro buggies in the North America. So the RWB with the weight shifted back for US tracks, that's what comes in the kit box. And then the European drivers will usually buy the optional weight forward chassis, which is better for, like, you guys saw the race in Spain and all the, you're not stopping and starting and doing 180s. You're doing like big sweeping turns. So that's where that one has a little bit of an advantage, because the weight's forward and you can turn on power. But when you're going really slow, the rear end just kind of tends to fishtail a little bit more at like running out at Paris, where it'll feel really good in a big fast turn when you're really loading the car. So it's kind of a trade-off, and I'd always trade off, the RWB. You can make it feel pretty good in the high speed, but it really feels good in the infield where you want to have traction coming out of turns and berms and everything and make the rear feel planted. So how do we use them? I actually, because I race, I do a lot of the initial testing, because some of the stuff we make, it doesn't work like magic right away. And some things are pretty awful. And so I kind of go through, Brent Delkey's a great driver. We have Richard Saxton. So between us that are kind of inside the company, we usually evaluate stuff first and kind of screen out what we think is good and not. And then we'll have the pro drivers test it to kind of validate, because one difference between a regular guy and the pro is, somebody like Spencer, he's just constantly pushing the car. He's going into the turns faster. He hits the gas more. He's just doing everything at a faster rate, where if I made my car that fast, my reflexes can't keep it going straight. But they can kind of drive a little bit more on the edge, and they have the superhuman reflexes. But usually when those guys do good, like if my car's good and it can go fast in the turns, I can pass it to Spencer and he'll be like, it's predictable. And he'll go, on an 8-scale track, he'll be like 2 seconds a lap faster than me with my own car, just because he goes faster everywhere and he feels comfortable at, a little more on the edge than me. But usually that stuff transfers. Those guys really, I like to use them to confirm things. And then every once in a while, some drivers will have some mad science ideas that they try. And we try to go back into the lab and find out, why did this work? Where is it going to be better? How could we incorporate that into the future? Stuff like that. So
Great
we
answer.
collaborate a lot back and forth. And, so I'll take some stuff and find out if it works, and then pass it to Spencer and those guys. But we collaborate a lot, and then they can take it and go to a few different races and bounce the ideas back and forth.
Awesome.
Great answer, man. Very, very thorough and very good insight.
All right.
I don't have any more. I have a few more questions from Tom, but I'm going to leave those because I know we have some limited time with you. Toby or
I'm
Vin?
getting sleepy. We'll have to. What Vin wanted to talk about?
Hopefully, we're not boring you.
No, it's not boring. I love talking about RC cars.
Cool. I wanted to ask you about the T4E first, and anything in the works for the T.
Yeah, you guys are the e-truggy champs. So yeah, we had some development going on. Some of the stuff is coming out in the next month. One of the big things we targeted on the truck class was the gear set and the gearbox. So been working on a new design gear set. The original one that we sold with the car was 46 teeth. And what we ended up doing is changing the tooth count. So the gear set was a 10 and a 46, and now it's a 9 and a 40. And what that allows you to do is have less teeth, but they're all bigger and more beefy. So instead of having the little tops, like this, you've got bigger, wider. So you got 46 tiny teeth or 40 big teeth, but the circle's the same size. So we only had so much real estate, that you can fit and still fit in the gearbox and clear the chassis. So that diameter is fixed, reducing the tooth count. Every tooth got wider. And we kind of found that the original tooth design, they liked the ratio. You needed that for the truggy, but the teeth were so small that the amount that they were overlapped, if there was any flex in anything, it was a lot easier to jump. And obviously, we looked at some of the other truggies in the industry have a different tooth count, and so we kind of looked into the analysis and the fundamentals behind the design. And the bigger teeth with the tooth count, which is going to come out, it'll be sold as a ring and pinion set. That has a lot more leeway of overlapping before the teeth will even consider jumping. So, once we did that, we haven't had any teeth skipping or anything. So it basically finally fixed that problem. The other thing we did is the molded housings. The gearboxes are 2 pieces, and you put the cap on, and it's supposed to hold the bearing. And we kind of found that the pieces tend to warp a little bit, and so the C shape isn't quite perfect. So it might be tight on the top and bottom, but then front to back, it can move a little. So I went in and we updated the tooling on the gearbox housing to tighten that up, and it basically holds the gear mesh in the right position. So basically, the gear teeth have more overlap; they can't skip, and now there's no give in the case, and it's all tightened up, and it's like super bulletproof now. So that stuff is coming out. You'll notice a lot of the kits are showing as discontinued, and it's still going to be basically the RC8 T4 kit. But when those new parts come out, you'll be able to get the kit with those ring and pinion gears and the gearbox in the box. So that's kind of an update that's coming. When it all announces, it'll kind of come together as a bundle. And you'll be able to get them in the box with the new Truggy, but it'll come with all the same Truggy parts. So anyone that was hoping for a 4.1, a super elaborate Truggy, that's not on the horizon. Don't hold your breath. I mean, we're going to have that in the product schedule, but that's not a this year thing. So if you want a Truggy, when those new gears come out, that's the one to get dialed in with. And you're going to have a way better experience. That was kind of like the number one headache that people had with it. So we went ahead and fixed that.
Awesome.
The other cool thing is the RC8B 4.1. We just dropped the engine mount for the Nitro, and the other option part that I worked on that you're going to see an announcement for is the new cool blue billet aluminum hubs. They use the same carbon fiber hub towers. This is like the 3D printed hub, but the hub towers that come in the box, the carbon fiber ones, those will translate straight on. So you'll basically replace this hub part, and instead of having the two different parts, it'll have that insert system that we used on the last hub for the high, medium, and low. So those are going to drop. I sell some of the associated stuff. So that's the factory team engine mount. I sell that on the Shell page, but I'll probably carry the associated hubs as well. But those are going to drop. You should see the press release on those. That's a part that a lot of people want to upgrade on their Truggy. And then you can buy like the carbon fiber hub towers and stuff. So a lot of the stuff, because I work with Associated, some of the parts I sell, team Associated parts on my website too. I've kind of been bringing that in a little more for the 8 scale. And like I started for the B7, I've started stocking the short wheelbase -4 chassis on my website. So a few other select things we'll put in there. But yeah, that's coming out. We got the gear sets for the Truggy. The new hubs are coming out, which is like a real common Truggy upgrade because the molded plastic ones come in the kit. So those will be available. And the hub bodies are sold as a standalone. And then we sell that package bundle where you get the fasteners and the carbon fiber hub towers. So you can buy those two part numbers and totally trick out your buggy or Truggy on the rear hubs if you want the aluminum ones. And that's about it for the Truggy. I can't remember what was the other cool.
How long till we see those hubs, by the way?
The hubs, I just
Weeks?
approved the press release. So, I mean, it's got to get signed off. I'd say either this Thursday or by next Tuesday, somewhere around there.
Awesome.
They're in. So we're just waiting to get the world notified. I mean, even there's a little bureaucracy of getting everyone notified when the new stuff comes in. You have to ship it and bill it and get it all entered on the website and turn it all on and stuff. So, yeah, look for that. I don't even have them here. Can you believe it? All the racers took all the sample ones. They're all at the office in California, and I didn't get any. But, yeah, that's a cool thing coming for the 8 scale. And we got some more stuff coming out next year that we've been testing this fall. Oh, You guys saw the Kingpin conversion set that's going to be coming out for the factory team for the 8 scale with a new front shock tower, and it runs the old 16-degree Kingpin incline steering blocks from the last version car. So some of the guys had tested that. To me, the RC8B 4.1 incline is set to 8 degrees, and that basically creates the most consistent driving car for like middle of the road all the way up to high traction. But there are some specific cases where the old one is better. So it's not like we made it wrong. Like the new one, the new front end we did on the B4 is going to be preferred on most surfaces. But the one thing that the old one does with the higher incline is it tends to resist cornering, and it tends to track really straight on a really blown out and bumpy low grip tracks. So like our team driver, if you guys saw the big Tilt Yard Worlds event that Lee Setzer won, he ran the 16 KPI conversion prototype on his nitro buggy, and he said there's just these big choppy ruddy sections that you're charging through, and it kind of helps to have less front grip on a low grip condition like that. When you're going through the bumps, it helps the front end track straight. But then he's like, I took that and he went and raced at Wicked Weekend, and he's like, when I'm on this 10th scales, arena type track, and it's not bumpy, I can't go around the turns fast. Like it feels like it's just you're waiting on the car a lot. So he ended up switching it back. But it's kind of shocking, and you really have to like retune the car. So I always tell people, if you run when you run the older KPI, usually you want to go like one step softer on the front sway bar, but the car will definitely corner a lot different. The initial steering is less, so you do have to tune the car. But you do get like it tracks straight on power. So when you're like struggling to go straight out of the turns, it'll really help you. But it's maybe not as good to go fast when you're going through switchbacks and zigzags and everything else at AMS or Wicked Weekend and stuff. But out at like the dirt at Paris, when you're going 40 miles an hour over the bumps and it's all choppy and stuff, a lot of the guys that have been out there have liked it. So there's a really specific case where it works well. And, we have racers that race everywhere. So I'm sure everybody wants to get one and try it, but it's not maybe a magic bullet everywhere, but it's really going to help you on a bumpy and blown out track, or if you just want to just detune the front end to make it a little easier to drive on a bumpy or low grip outdoor track.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you for that insight.
So that's coming out. It's all getting made, and Richard Saxton's making an installation video for it.
Nice.
So that's the stuff that's coming out this year.
Now, what about the carbon fiber towers that just dropped? And I saw that there was different.
We did the new standoff project, and so for this time, I wanted to do the carbon fiber towers with no pockets in them. So we ended up doing like a long and a short standoff set. The long standoffs, which it has the links on there, it's like 14 and 17 are the long ones, and the short ones are like 12, 5, and 16. And they have 2 lines on the long ones and 1 line on the short ones if you get them lost and mixed up in your toolbox. And so we have the hard anodized aluminum standoffs, and then the shock towers, carbon fiber front and rear, which save a ton of weight. I'll usually off and on maybe do a carbon fiber rear tower. I've done carbon fiber front ones. I haven't had them live that long, but depends on where you race and how brutal you are on equipment. It is lighter. It's give and take with everything. Some people love it. and they can buy carbon fiber front towers. But the other KPI one is only available in aluminum, black aluminum. And that'll be sold as a conversion set with an instruction video link on like a QR code. And then you can also buy the the molded parts and other things separately if you break something or if you have part of the pieces together. But yeah, we updated the plastic on the molded steering blocks. So if you get the new ones from the conversion kit, it'll be the same molded plastic as the B4 buggy uses.
Cool.
So
Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. We can go over the quick thing on the shock line now. I can kind of give a rundown of the ones that I offer and when to use them. In that, I'll kind of cover a little bit what I do about varying the hole quantity and the hole size, because I know you had a question about that.
Yep.
So, yeah, the Shell Racing line, I originally started and I had tested all the pistons, and the general trend is, a lot of 8-scale cars started out with 6 holes, and they've kind of migrated, and you can go to like 5 larger holes, or there's like 8 smaller holes. And the general trend there is when you have the hole size for a certain oil kind of controls at what speed it will create pack and lock out. So an 8-hole piston will tend to be really soft initially, because when it's moving slow, there's fluid can flow through, but then you hit a certain speed and all the smaller holes will close up. It's a fluid dynamics of fluid flow through a orifice or a flat plate. You can go look in your physics book. You may have to get a college physics book, or you can go look online. But basically, the fluid can't, once you get going faster, the fluid going through the hole, it all can't get in, turn the corner, and push through. So it all kind of creates like a log jam effect, which is what we call pack. And so I kind of settle on running the car a lot on running a 5-hole baseline. And for the associated, like a lot of the base pistons, when I get them made, have 5-hole 1.4 and 5-hole 1.5. And then we kind of tune from there. And for the RC8B 4.1, because the rear shocks mount further out on the arms, the piston set that I sell at Shell is baseline tuned with it's a 5-hole 1.4 in the front, but one of the holes is drilled larger to 1.5. And that tends to, when you make one hole bigger, you're just kind of fine tuning when the piston will pack out, and it'll have a little bit more steering feel with one larger hole. So I kind of settled on that as a baseline for the front. The rears, when you're outside on the arm, which is like the kit setting, I think that was a real good advantage, because you can run the shock soft, but then you can, when you hit something, you hit obstacles and stuff, it has really good support. So the baseline ones that you buy in the standard drilling from us have 2 holes drilled out to 1.7 in the back, and then the other holes are 1.5. And so I had that as a pretty good baseline. And then I kind of realized that there was, I put them in 2 major categories of tracks, and I made some tuning adjustments. So now I sell 3 different pistons. I have the standard, and then I have outdoor ungroomed, which is like lower traction with more marbles on it. And then I have a smooth track, which is actually a 7-hole. And the logic behind that is that outdoor ungroomed, that condition has like a lot of marbles and an uneven surface. And so you need less pack. The standard pistons work pretty good and they're tuned to be balanced. But for that one, you need less pack, because you want the tires to conform to the surface. And usually when the car's leaning, if you have too much pack, it'll break traction. And so basically for the outdoor ungroomed, you want everything to be a little more softer and freer. So those shocks are drilled with one extra tiny, it's the standard shock as a baseline, and then I drill one extra tiny hole in the front so that it will have a little more bleed through. I kind of originally experimented with drilling two holes bigger, And the problem with that is that when you hit fast obstacles, it tends to collapse the front shock and make the car unstable. So it's actually beneficial to keep 5 holes and then drill one more tiny hole so that when it's moving, because like I said, when it's moving slow, the tiny hole can still pass through fluid and makes it softer. But then when I hit a jump face, it basically closes up and I go back to the standard. So that's the fronts on those. And then the rears, instead of 2 holes big, there's 3 holes big. So I took an additional hole and drilled it larger. And that provided a really good balance on low traction. So I ran those a lot. Some of the guys in California have run them at like the Paris track and the other stuff. And then they also work good in colder weather when all the traction's less, the tires are colder, and the shocks are a lot more stiff as it thickens up. So I ran that in the cold weather quite a bit. And that's when I started running it. And then I passed it off to a few other guys I knew, and we kind of settled on that as a good outdoor ungroomed setup. And then the second thing that I mentioned was the smooth track setup, which is for hotter weather. And it's kind of a similar concept, but I found that drilling the holes bigger, we were always fighting doing the obstacles and hitting everything. Usually when it's hotter, it's more traction, the temperature's hotter, and you tend to run into the problem of the shock bottoming out. So that's where I came up with the 7-hole smooth track. So instead of taking a 1.5 hole and drilling that out bigger, I actually add 2 smaller holes so that you get the softness for when you're doing the infield for slower motions, but when you hit the obstacles and do everything fast, the shock won't blow through its stroke. So kind of have the baseline and then tune it one way for low grip, and then tune it the other way for higher grip and hotter weather. And so those are the 3 that I sell on the site. You can, I have like the part numbers for the standard pistons, which I sell in 2 different thicknesses. The Fat Boys pistons, I have a 2.2 where the center of the piston is milled out and they're actually thinner. Those are good for the lower traction or really cold temperatures when you're worried about the shock packing out too much. And then for summers, I have the 2.7s, which is the super fat chunker pistons. And that has like a longer pathway because in the hotter temperatures, when it's like 90 and 100 degrees outside, you run into problem with all the fluid flows through the shock so much faster. So I kind of have those as like winter and summer. I would usually not run the thicker piston in the summer, or I would not run the thin pistons in the summer unless it was just really low traction. And if it was hot and I couldn't quite get enough grip with the thick ones, I would go to the thin. So yeah, so that's the custom where you can specify which one of the drillings you want. And then I also sell like a tuning set where you can get one set of the thin and one set of the thick, and you can drill them yourself. So each set of pistons is like $24 for the custom drilling. The base ones are like $20 for a set of 4. And then I think I do a set of the undrilled, like the tuning set. Piston tuning set is $40 right there. Cool. So all those, I get them made with 1.4s and 1.5s, and then I hand drill them out to order based on, what settings you want and where you're running. So I try to work with all my customers and get them some suggestions on what to try. And sometimes if you end up buying a lot, I might feel really nice and give you an extra set of pistons and say, hey, why don't you try these 2? For some of my repeat customers, they get bonus prizes in the package. But yeah, the last cool thing on the piston is coming out next month. I've been kind of co-developing a new generation like Pro shock piston with It's based on the MIP Bypass 1 system. So I've got a custom valving that's my valving for the shocks that they don't sell. And it's kind of a pro version that has a tunable rebound. And those aren't announced yet, but I've kind of been running them the last, it's kind of been in development. And that's like a super specialty product, but it's been cool to work with. I really liked the system that the guys at MIP had with their, it's a patented MIP Bypass 1 system. It works really smooth, but I did some kind of a special product line that's different from what they sell, and it's tuned to my specifications that are kind of optimized for, I think, kind of the range of places that I run and my customers, whereas they kind of optimize their design for the tracks where they test in California. So that's where they run, and it's a kind of a totally different beast. If anybody's ever been out to the DNC, if you race anywhere else, you just feel like absolutely lost. It's so different. The grip level, it's slippery. It's got like silty dirt on top of rock, and whether it's wet or dry, it has different traction levels. It's a pretty unique surface, and you feel like you're on the moon, racing on the moon. But everyone there runs there like that's all they know, so everything's dialed in for that surface.
Yep.
And but once you get your car going good there, it's pretty fun to go run on the Joey tracks. It's a special, unique thing. So yeah, we got to go spend a lot of time there. So kind of running there and doing development and testing the original MIP products. It kind of planted the seed and gave me some more ideas, and then came up and was able to work with them on the new product line. So I'm excited to be offering that, and that they work with me, and we use it has to have the MIP Bypass 1 system, but they're the special shell valving that I think will work for a really wide range of people. So I'm going to get Vin to test them out.
Awesome. I can't wait.
So yeah, that's the big thing. So waiting on that stuff to get made. It's all made in California at the MIP facility, and it'll kind of be interchangeable. So if you have a MIP system, you can just buy the Delrin piston blanks from Shell. You don't have to buy the whole system. That's part of it is it's cross compatible using the tuning flaps and the other parts. But then people that don't have it, you can buy the complete set with the clear, the green, and the blue flaps. There'll be an option to buy that from me that has everything like turnkey ready to install. So those are going to be like $50 for the complete set. And then the pistons by themselves will be like $25.
Cool.
And so I'll offer those in the same three valvings. But yeah, the new one has a unique, the bypass valving holes are different on mine, which I think make them a little more intuitive for the average guy to tune and have good luck with. Because if the shock gets more complicated, you can get lost really easy. So try to take all my experience and kind of hone down the options to these few that work good, so that you're not like lost in left field. But some people like to tinker, so we're going to sell blanks too.
Yeah. The Shell pistons have worked really well for us in the past, and especially LCRC, where we first tried the 5-hole setup at the Fuel Nats. And ever since then, Aiden and Dylan have loved them, myself included. Yeah,
that was the original valving. We ran them. Aiden Horn ran them, and we got he got second place to Ryan Mayfield in the Nitro Buggy Nationals. He was pretty amazed. He's like, I can't believe I'm sitting here with the second place trophy. I've just gone and sucked at all the other races, but everything kind of all the stars aligned. The tires worked good. We had the car dialed in, and he was ripping. I mean, all these pro guys can drive. That's the amazing thing. it's really a car plus driver thing. They're all talented. It's just who can put all the puzzle pieces together to get the program working good. And that's really what the competition is. And that's why, I mean, you got to obviously, we're all huge. I think everybody's a Ryan Mayfield fan. He's just put in a lot of years in the game doing 8-scale buggy, and he does really well at adapting the car to the track and bringing himself and the car to get it drivable. He has a really good ability to tune the cars. He's a talented guy, and everybody respects him and number one J Concepts guy. But we're always trying to beat him. So Spencer had a really good showing at that breakthrough at the TNR race. We went and did a bunch of testing in January this year. That's where we were testing a bunch of the shock stuff and kind of first learning about it and doing the 4.1 development. And then he ended up going head to head with Ryan and winning the main event at that one, which was a super late Sunday night main event. Everyone was probably going to sleep. But I stayed up.
It was really cool that you guys had some that you have some products in regards to shocks. I was asking Jason Rona about that in the last episode, whether or not Jade Concepts was going to come out with potentially a new shock design, right? That's something that the industry is always looking for, at least an advancement in suspension. So it's good to see that you have at least some other options that are out there in the shock world. And some of the other products that you talked about in terms of the shock pistons be great for some other guys that are out there. And I know my friend Jack Evanchek is going to be super pumped to hear that you have a new diff coming out for the Truggy. Less teeth, bigger, fatter, more durable, including the case.
Oh, so, it's like, I mean, we don't want to say bulletproof, but it's pretty bulletproof. No one's broken it.
I think it's a big step up. And I know guys like that are going to be real pleased. I don't run the car, but I do know that, it's had some stigma in the past. So, and you have a lot of diehard guys that are out there that, regardless, they don't care how many diffs blow up. They'd never change the brand. So really happy for them for hanging in there.
I feel bad that, we've kind of been, off and on, we've been doing the 3.2 and then the T4, and we changed a few things, and you think that's the problem. And then eventually I was just like, screw this. We're not using these stupid gears anymore. We're going to do a new design. There's no amount of changes we can do it. And so kind of dove knee deep into that and became really clear that that was going to be the final solution to make all our problems go away, because you can only make a plastic housing so strong.
Ultimately, these racers, when there's brand loyalty, right? So racers will stick in there. All they want to hear is the truth. They don't want to hear a line of bullshit. And when a guy or a company can say, hey, this is the issue, this is the redesign, this is a better mousetrap, we appreciate it. All these things, right, are in development. We're talking about generations of cars. Sometimes, you reach out a little bit farther to do something that's out of the box because you're looking for an edge and improvement, something lighter, something that performs better. And sometimes, it can bite you. But nonetheless, it's, having a responsibility for that product. And then ultimately with that cumulative knowledge that you guys have, you're coming out with a better mousetrap and, a better gear system. So
Truggies, it's super stressful. I feel bad for the people because the gear sets aren't cheap. And, we spent a long time with, there's also like the other versions, the housing design, the wall thickness, we changed the bearings to 6x13 flange bearings. The B4 gearbox was redesigned, and then we've actually updated the material on those gearboxes from when it initially dropped. So we had one material when the buggy kits dropped, and then when the T4 kits dropped, that was another updated material that had a different composition that worked better at higher temperatures and flexed less. And then it was still like, oh my God, these are, it all worked better, but it didn't make it go away where it was indestructible. So I know a lot of the guys said, oh, the T4 came out and, 90% of my problems went away, which it did. But, we weren't really satisfied at that because that's the other thing is the Spencer Rivkins and the pro guys, they put so much stress on the equipment. He's like, oh, I still skip the gears every main event. And he's like, I'm just praying I'm going to finish a Nitro Truggy main sometimes. Even though the average like E-Truggy race and stuff, everybody's doing way better. It's like, well, we made it better, but it wasn't indestructible. And this new one, even Spencer hasn't broken it. So we're pretty pumped on it. And we want everyone to have a better experience because that's the end thing is have fun doing your RC cars. And I'm hungry, so I'm gonna have to close. I love to talk about cars if you didn't notice, but I think we're out of time. And
good.
right
We have
on.
some other things in the segment that we're going to cover up. Toby, you have any other questions for Kurt before Coach before he takes off?
I can keep it short. This will be short answers.
Probably should unmute myself, but no, I want to. You go ahead and eat your dinner. It's all good. I don't want to keep you. We've been chatting here for an hour and 25, so I appreciate it. Thank you. I do like the shock packages you have and how you have all the details in there, hot weather, cold weather, oils to run. I mean, that's super helpful, I think, for maybe people that, and get kind of lost in the details, just like buy some pistons because they look cool. But here, actually, you've guided them,
Yeah. Well,
that's
thanks.
important.
Yeah, it goes pretty well. I think for the new system, it fits more. My current pistons will fit a Mugen car, and I think you can run them on X-Ray. But the new system, like the MIP, the Bypass One, it's able to make it compatible to fit like Techno, Hot Bodies, Kyosho, X-Ray, Mugen. So
cool.
there'll be more flexibility. I'll probably add another drilling because usually for some of the other cars, I might drill the rear pistons differently. So I'll probably have the customers specify when they check out if they have a different brand car.
Awesome.
And we'll get them dialed in. So, yeah, look for that product launch. I'll try to do it like a Facebook Live or something, ask more questions on it. But pretty excited on it. But it's like the regular piston, the different rebound valving, it can get you in trouble if you do it wrong, but I try to simplify it, and I've been able to see a performance. But I always say if you're getting lost, you can go back to the regular non-tunable pistons. It's a less expensive system, and it's less likely to get you lost. So there's a give and take of like, well, this thing can make you better, but also, if you mess it up, you can be worse off than if you just ran the standard pistons. So even the pro guys sometimes do that, and they're just like, I'm just going back to the regular baseline, and I got lost.
Yep. Easy to do.
So, Kurt, before you head out,
Yep.
I did want to. I definitely have a couple more questions, but we're going to let you eat. But before you go, I do have to thank you for all your coaching, your help, making the products consistently better, and this TQ right here, and this big, huge, heavy metal first
That's the
place.
E-Truggy one, right?
That's it, man.
Yeah.
So that's Aiden is really, really proud of this, and he wants to show you more of these going forward. So
yeah,
just
he's a good E-Truggy specialist, so we got to keep him running. And the other cool thing I just spent this weekend testing, there's like some new Reedy stuff in development, so that'll be exciting. And the new motors are dropping, and you can get those. They're absolute land missile. So that's dropping. We had to do a supplement inside that you'll see when you get one that has a supplement for the recommended timing. So we got that fixed. We find the 4-pole motors are super sensitive on timing, and if you run it too high, it kind of just goes and it overheats. But if you dial it to the right setting, I mean, they're phenomenal, like super power, no fade. It's the new motors are quite a good step up over what we sold before. So we've got that, and then I think there will be an ESC for like next season. That's kind of in the pipeline. It's got some of the same features as the 10th scale 610, like tuning features that are really nice. So everybody's moving up in the world, and so Aiden's gonna have some new stuff for next season. They'll be exciting. But yeah,
Awesome.
there'll be nitro and electric trucks. You'll be able to get them with those new parts in the box when that drops. So that's all kind of in the November timeframe. So sometime in the next month, you'll hear more about it and you'll see official announcements.
Very cool. Thanks for dropping it here.
Sweet.
Appreciate that.
All right, you guys can boot me off when you're done. Good luck, and thanks everybody for using the Shell products. And if you get anything, it went right through these hands. It's touched by me. I do custom do all the pistons, and it's my handwriting on them and everything. So
Awesome.
you're gripping and ripping the same way I do my own stuff.
Sweet.
Kurt, well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming to visit the Northeast RC Racer podcast. And we'll definitely, through the viewership that we have that's growing, a lot of people are going to be exposed. So I'm sure you're bound to get
Cool.
some hits on the website. And hopefully we'll see you at the track someday soon.
I'm excited. Vin's going to host me at LCRC next summer.
Sweet.
I just volunteered him for it.
Awesome.
Well, he's got a nice big
got
new
a-
motorhome for
Yeah,
you.
it's a palace. You'll be good.
All right.
We just got a new RV. That's what these guys are talking about. Can't wait to show it to you.
Yeah. You
Can't
got a whole
wait.
wing to yourself.
Can't wait. All right.
Thanks so much
Yeah,
for being
thanks,
a part,
man.
and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, do you want me to sign off, or are you going to boot me?
Nah, we'll boot you off. No worries.
All
Thank
right.
We're gonna,
Bye,
thanks
everybody.
again.
Take care, Kurt.
Bye.
So, Vin, do you have anything for your SEDEX segment this week, or would you already discuss part of that with Kurt?
Listen, Kurt really broke it down really well, but suspension was the topic for today. I will do a quick little thing. We're already pretty far into the show here. So, so just to add on to what Kurt said, Kurt talked a lot about different pistons and how to, I'm a moto guy. I knew how to adjust suspension from adjusting my dirt bike, which sat underneath me, and every lap I could feel it. So that's what kind of taught me. So I like to break it down like this. So you have high and low speed compression, just like your dirt bike, like anything, like any real shock on real motorsports. You also have your rebound. So everything's just scaled, so you have to learn how to, like what Kurt was talking about was these new MIP pistons that he's dropping next month. They're going to have flaps that control the rebound. So you're going to add additional rebound to your, back and forth movement of your shock. So low speed dampening, just to kind of break it down, your low speed dampening or compression is basically how the car feels on the stand. Okay, that's low speed. That's what you call low speed, like on the table right there, moving the car around, pushing on it. And you adjust that with the shock oil. All right. So if it's getting warmer out, you're going to go with the thicker shock oil. If the track is bumpy, you're going to go to bigger holes to accommodate for the bumps. And then at the same time, you're going to go to thicker shock oil with those bigger holes. High speed compression is what we call pack. Okay. You heard Kurt talking about pack, and that's how the car feels over the bumps and the jumps. Now for the bumps, you want less pack. You want it to absorb those and keep going straight. For jumps, you want more pack. You want it to pack and absorb the landing and not bottom out. And you don't want to use, in RC, we use the chassis, but you don't want it double bouncing or doing anything funny or flipping over for that matter. So we adjust it with larger hole sizes to accommodate the bumps, like I said, and then smaller for more pack when landing jumps. So that's how you kind of adjust your piston hole size, or even, instead of two small, larger holes, maybe you're just going to run one larger hole in your 5-hole piston setup. Rebound, go over this real quick. So how quick the shock comes back to ride height, basically. So more rebound for bumpier, looser tracks. at lower speeds, and then you're going to want it to be more planted, or like a dead feel that we call it, with less rebound for smooth high speed tracks where you're really pushing the car hard. And you adjust, you adjust the rebound on a traditional piston with things like the piston shape, whether it's coned or it's flat. Some pistons, like the MIPs we talked about, use flaps. So VRP, MIP, a couple other brands. But for the most part, that pretty much, sums it up. He talked about 8-hole pistons having a little bit more pack because you're using smaller holes. There's more holes, but they're smaller. So the fluid dynamics is that, as the speed ramps up, they're not going to be able to push through those smaller holes as quickly. And the compression is going to ramp up quicker. So you might have, soft initially, but then it's going to ramp up real quick with those 8-hole pistons. Whereas the 5-hole is going to be better in the bumps because initially you're going to be able to float over them, but those sudden bumps and all that, you're still going to, you're not going to feel it as much, but you'll still have enough pack for the jumps and stuff like that. So anyway, that pretty much sums it up. You guys have any questions for me?
No, I got shocks pretty, I don't want to say dialed in, but I'm pretty good. But always good to hear some new philosophies and, new hole systems, whether it's that extra bypass one or going to the 8-hole. It's always a mystery for certain guys that don't hear that other language going on. 8-hole, 5-hole, those tend to be the most typical, outdoor 8-scale shock packages for the most part.
I tell you, it's a lot of work. You have to put in a lot of work and a lot of testing, a lot of fuel and battery packs just to figure it out. And then you kind of pass it on to people like, yep, this is what you should run. And, so it's really a lot of work that Kurt puts in behind the scenes to get, his suspension where he likes it.
Sure, man. With that being said, and all the work that he does, Toby, we have a sponsor that we should probably say a good, kind word about. Ed from EB Mods. And I know Toby said it so many times, he can probably just cut it right off the top of his head.
Yeah, as he pulls it up on the website. So my power went out. I was doing some 3D printing, so I just had to go and restart them because they all.
Oh shit!
Oh man,
that's not on the generator circuit, the 3D printer.
No, but maybe it should be. I mean, yeah, no. I have my router and everything on UPS, so when it went out, everything stayed up. It seems like it's unnecessary to have more UPS around the house.
Are you still running on a generator now?
No, it cut over by itself actually,
cool.
So which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, it's the first time I think that I've had a legitimate failure where it's actually worked. It spools up every Tuesday and does a cycle, but
yeah,
actually worked this time. Anyway, first time it was supposed to work, it didn't. So it was like $17,000 wasted, but they fixed it. Anyway, EB Mods. Ed over at EB Mods is sponsoring this podcast for 2024. If you don't know Ed is the man in terms of managing engines in the Northeast. Ed's been in the industry for years. He is at most races in the region, LCRC, the Barn, Trains and Lanes. If you need your engine serviced, he does resizing, braking, dyno tuning, that kind of thing. I know a lot of the guys. I know Vin and Tom send their engines to him. Years of experience. He's even developed his own tools actually for resizing. Very unique product he has in the business, not like your typical kind of classical kind of bench press style piston pinching machine. He's actually developed this super cool, unique product's worth checking out. I can't even begin to explain it. I've seen it in action though. It's pretty legit. I think there's a video on here, a couple of videos worth checking out. It's good to see some innovation in this industry. Ed also resells some of the popular engines, the Adam Drakes, and he also sells dyno tuned engines as well. So check him out. EB Mods. That's it. He's your man.
Yeah, I was just out there. What was it? 2 days ago with Ed, Aiden, myself, and Ed testing and tuning the new 2105 engine. He just gave it an oil bath, broke it in, tuned it, and Aiden absolutely loves it. This new engine is amazing, and Ed did such a great job with it. So we are all set for LCRC this weekend for the Halloween race, and then we're going to be using the same engine at AMS later this year.
Groovy.
Very cool. Toby, you got anything exciting to add before we try to wrap up the show?
Not necessarily exciting, but maybe a rant. Not necessarily a solvable rant, but I don't know if you've really noticed. For the last, I don't know about you, where you are, but I'm in northern New Jersey. Probably, well, I'm up in Warren County. We haven't had rain here since I don't know when. I don't know when it rained.
Ever.
No, it hasn't rained forever, and the forecast shows no fucking rain in the future either. So what I don't understand is why there's no racing and hasn't been any racing the last 8 weeks, maybe. You've got 2 decent tracks in the Northeast and not a single fucking thing going on, and doesn't seem to be anybody organizing anything. There's no marketing, there's no promotion. Why can't we have a club racing program every couple of weeks? Is it that hard? You know what I mean? Like, people complain, oh, the track prep. There's no track prep. There's no rain. There's no weather. You know what I mean? Get a blower, blow off the dust, and then let's go racing. You know what I mean? I'm frustrated. You know what I mean? So the whole trophy race bullshit, it's got to stop. We got to get back out there. We got to be racing just for the fun of racing. You know what I mean? A one-day race. You go and you roll in 7:30. You race 2 rounds. You have a long main. You go home 5 o'clock. You have dinner and then you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And it's not happening. And it's enough to drive me out of the hobby, I tell you. So I can't imagine. There's plenty of reasons people leave this hobby, and that's got to be one of them. I know, like, Greg doesn't want to deal with, these trophy races. He just wants to go racing, race his toy car. You know what I mean? And there's no more excuses, So, that's it. That's my rant.
I want to pick up on that a little bit next episode. One thing for sure, last couple episodes we've had, they've been real long, so we're striving to pull this one in and wrap it up in the next few minutes. But that's definitely a topic I would like to pick up on, embellish, and give my thoughts. And I actually feel the same way. One thing for sure is that I miss the camaraderie, hanging out under a tent with some pit tables and bullshitting for the day, and I don't see much of that going on around anymore. And but we'll pick that up next time around.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for Tom. He's doing it the right way. You know what I mean? It's club racing. There's people standing there on the podiums, smiles around, just having a good time. And he's kept it. He's focused on that. And that's, I'm super happy for that. I got to get down there next year.
Yeah. And part of that reason, too, is you get in and you get out. I mean, every time I've been down there, we're out at 4 or 5 o'clock, and the turnout's been good, almost at least 10 heats or plus.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot of good minds that I think could come up with a better strategy than what we have. And without club racing, there is no other racing ultimately at the end. So that's where you get those new guys. You don't get new guys going to LCRC, that's for sure. Yeah. Although LCRC is fantastic. So
they get a good turnout of novice drivers considering, but it's less intimidating to like go, let's say, the trains and lanes, with your right.
Well, I had a friend of mine.
You're ready to run car and race it for a day, and then and then that's what gets you excited to go do it again.
Sure.
So,
Vin, you got anything else?
No. All set. Went over a whole bunch of new stuff with Kurt, and he really hit a lot of new products and stuff. So it's really,
I like the whole approach to a detailed product range in terms of just like pistons alone, and how if you look at it on the website, it really goes into how to run them, the warm, cold, what oils to try. I mean, there's not a lot of kind of reference information out there, and I think now I've gone on the shelf and seen things and got oh, shiny thing, and then put it on my car, and like, now what? You know what I mean? So he actually gives you, here, just start with these oils. So that's pretty big. I think that's
a lot
unique.
of R&D that
Mhm.
goes into all that. Lot
Yeah,
of time.
that's
So
pay $25 for that versus $20 for pistons you don't know anything about. That's where you're paying the money for it. It's worth it.
yeah, I agree.
You're not paying for the guy to turn the wrench. You're paying for the 20 years experience he has turning that wrench.
That's
right?
like Ed with EB Mods too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you get all that experience.
Yeah, like Jason said, that name's been around a long time. He's
For
seen
sure.
that name for a long time. Cool.
All right.
All right, guys.
That time.
Episode number 22 with Kurt Wenger from Shell Racing Products, and Team Associated. Before we jet, most importantly, we appreciate everybody for watching. The guys and I had a good meeting last week. We got some great names in the hat for future episodes. We're most definitely going to get back to some more grassroots stuff, people in the surrounding area, some stories, some great legends that we can record. And, Linda, I'm coming after you. I did message Linda. She said she's got to take care of some things personally for some health, but we're definitely going to try to get Linda from Family Hobbies on here before it's too late and try to memorialize that story between her and Ron down south. But with that being said, we appreciate everybody for watching. All we can ask is for you guys to click that subscribe button, click a thumbs up if you can, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube. I think Toby's potentially going to try to launch the podcast maybe this upcoming year on another media platform. So we're pretty excited. We are always open for another sponsor. EB Mods is our main one, but we could definitely use another for sure. It helps things go around, whether it's paying for the podcast software, whether it's helping to sponsor a race, whether it's getting us a better mic that we can do interviews with in the field. We would appreciate it. But in the meantime, the things that are free are subscribing and thumbs up. So please do that for us. With that being said, Toby Hampson from 46RC, Vin Manchanda, Team Associated, thank you guys so much for being part of today's show as per usual. Can't do it without you guys. And Tom Petrella from Rhythm Raceway. Sorry you couldn't be here, but we'll definitely catch up with you next time. Episode 23 coming, episode 24 right around, which is our 2-year mark of putting the show out for you guys. So we hope to see you next month, and that'll probably be a few weeks because we just did 2 relatively back-to-back episodes. So we'll probably see you guys in about 4 weeks again with the next one. Till then, you guys got anything else?
Good.
All set.
All right.
Have a good night,
Awesome.
everyone.
Take it
Thanks
easy.
so much for watching the Northeast RC Racer podcast, and we will see you guys at the track. See you soon.
See ya.